smokers are doing more breath work than you because what do? They take in a big breath. And smokers are doing breath work. Now, minus the cigarette, they're kicking ass, right? So don't let the smokers do more breath work than you.
You're listening to A New Way of Living with Dan Voss, inspiring you to a new life of breathwork, cold therapy, nature, and plant medicine. In this week's episode, my guest is Tim James, aka the Health Hero. Tim is the founder and CEO of ChemicalFreeBody.com and host of the Health Hero Show. Tim's journey led him to a shocking discovery that helped his friend beat cancer and transform every area of his life. This led him to produce his own chemical-free food products company, Chemical Free Body, a mission-based organization that is passionate about helping everybody ignite their highest excitement in life by putting themselves and their health first. Tim, welcome to A New Way of Living podcast.
Dan, thanks for having me on the show, brother. I'm excited to be here and share with your listeners today.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a nice chat before we hit record here. Really excited to hear more about your story and how you got to where you are today, how you started up your company, and learn a little bit more about the work you're doing and the supplements that you offer with your company. So why don't we start with hearing about your story a little bit more. How, in your bio, I mentioned how you helped your friend beat cancer, how you have had health challenges in the past. So tell us a little bit more about your story, your past with transforming your health.
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of goes back to like my childhood. I grew up over in Eastern Oregon, which is kind of like Montana, right? So think about ranchers and cowboy hats and mountains and lots of horses and, farms and stuff like that. I actually grew up on a small farm at the base of a mountain. And we farmed Hereford cattle, and we did grass and alfalfa hay. And my dad worked at the state highway department, plowing roads in the winter and paving roads in the summer. So he was like state worker / farmer, right? So we were working, and he put me to work, and I wouldn't have wanted to grow up any other way. But what ended up happening was I grew up on the standard American diet. And it worked fine when I was going through high school and college, but after I got out of college and stopped playing baseball, I started gaining weight. And, I was eating too many bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burritos
Yep.
before work and stuff. And then the coffee and, all the stuff that I was doing, and donuts and ice cream and meat and potatoes, cake, just over and over, right? It's standard lasagna, was everything, or pizza. What are we going to have for dinner tonight? A pizza, it's okay, or chicken or whatever. So that was me, and then by age 37, let's fast forward, I was 42 pounds overweight. I had eczema on both of my elbows that was cracking and bleeding. I had a huge patch of eczema on my left knee that was cracking and bleeding. And just by the way, for those listening with eczema, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to keep clothing. I, as a financial advisor, I couldn't even wear those white button-down shirts anymore because I'd ruin them. I was bleeding on them. And if I had a short-sleeve shirt, which I didn't wear that much anymore because it was embarrassing, because I looked like a salamander, especially going to the beach, I felt really bad taking my shirt off. I actually had another skin issue on my shoulder. I don't even know what the hell that was. And, so I would bleed on your wall and have to clean your wall, or bleed on your couch. So imagine that. 3 points on my body, both elbows and my knees bleeding and cracking all the time. It was worse during the wintertime when there wasn't a lot of sun up here in the Portland metro area.
Wow.
Portland, Oregon. So, I'm just kind of going on with my life. But then it gets worse. I started getting acid reflux really bad. I was eating Tums and Rolaids 24/7. Then finally I started bleeding rectally. So now not only are my elbows and knees bleeding, now every time I pooped, I'm bleeding. Yeah. That's why my shirt, for those listeners that can't see us, we're not on YouTube, it says "Love When You Poop," because I used to hate it. It was a very painful process for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most pain, I was about a 6 or 7, followed by blood. Okay, so my life is just bleeding, okay? And I had my head in the sand. I went to doctors. They wanted to put me on Prilosec for the heartburn and stuff, but that just sounded weird. I for some reason, never gravitated towards the pharmaceutical drugs that they wanted, but I didn't make any changes with my lifestyle. I didn't connect that, what I was eating and what I was putting into my body and my toothpaste, my shampoos, all these things. I didn't understand these toxic chemical things at all. I thought there was a government agency protecting us, and when you walk into a store, everything's good for you because how could it be bad for you, right? And then it got worse. So on a trip, I had to be life flighted to get an emergency surgery, and that ruined the trip for myself, my wife, or dad. We planned this thing out for a year, and I ended up getting wheeled back into the United States in a wheelchair. Wow. And man, what that taught me is that my poor health doesn't affect just me; it affects everybody else around me. So, the message I want to get across today is like, if you're suffering, if you're overweight, or you're on medications, or you're not feeling good, or you have headaches, or maybe you have cancer, or fibromyalgia, or colitis, or Crohn's, or diverticulitis, or something, or you don't have anything, but you just don't feel right, or you just don't wait. Don't wait like what I did until wheels fall off, and then you try to grab your health back because you go into a broken medical system. We spend $3.3 trillion on healthcare, yet we're ranked 38th to 42nd in the world in health. So why would you want to go into that system? So we have to break free of that, and then what happened? I was still lost, dude. Then my friend Charles gets diagnosed with cancer, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is a blood cancer, supposedly incurable. That's what the doctors up at Oregon State Health University told him. And, so he breaks the news to me, and I'm like, shit, I'm going to lose another friend. I just lost a buddy of mine on my baseball team at age 40 to stomach cancer. He did chemo, surgery, radiation, died, left 3 little boys behind from ages 6 to 17. We went to a funeral. He had no insurance. We did a fundraiser. A bunch of us tough macho baseball players were all crying in the church as our friend's dead. And now my buddy at 43, he's dying of cancer. And I'm like, shit. My grandma died of brain cancer. My aunt died of skin cancer, but they were older. So you think when people get old, they die of something. Well, these guys were 40, 43. And all of a sudden, I'm freaking out because I'm like, deep down inside, I'm like, I'm bleeding all over the place. I don't feel good. I've already had one organ hacked out of me. I'm concerned. But I'm still like a deer in the headlights. I don't know what to do, right? So my friend's like, hey, dude, I'm going to go to the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida. They're this 61-year-old at the time, detox and nutrition clinic. Will you go with me? I'm going to try to heal naturally. Well, deep down inside, I was laughing. I'm thinking, heal naturally, or whatever. I mean, that's how programmed I was, right? Like, if the doctors can't help you, you're screwed. That's my whole thought process was. So I'm thinking, how could this little podunk place in Florida help you? So we fly down there January 1st, 2011. And day one, my acid reflux was gone, and it had never returned, and it's been 11 years. So what they did was they just put us on a bunch of purified, restructured water. They started having us drink these green juices with no sugar in them, so there wasn't carrots and apples and beets. It was just cucumbers, celery, sunflower sprouts, and pea sprouts, juice, living foods, and a whole bunch of living food. Sprouted nuts, sprouted seeds, sprouted grains, sprouted beans, sprouts, avocados, vegetables. And for a meat eater, I was a little freaked out because they didn't have any meat there. Like, so I'm like, oh, but this was just what they call a healing diet. For those of you eating meat, don't cringe or run away. It's not for everything. But the first class there was called Internal Awareness. And this doctor comes out, and dude, this guy was like freaking, I mean, he had muscles and he was built. And I was like, wow, this guy's really in good shape. And find out he just turned 50 that day. But he looked like he was 40. And the people at the institute that had been there 10, 20 years looked about 10, 20 years younger than the regular population. So, there's a success clue there for health. Something's going on here that they're doing is working. And he's trying to tell us about this internal awareness class. And he talked to us about from the time we eat food, what happens when it goes in the mouth all the way through until it exits the body. And wow, that was an eye-opening class. I learned a lot. And what I learned there was that the average person, Dan, is consuming is carrying around 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material and mucoid plaques lining the small and large intestine. Now, did you hear what I just said? 6 to 12 pounds. Now, people are like, they can't believe it, but it's like our intestinal lining, if you lay it out, the surface area is about the size of a tennis court. So, you get a little layer of garbage on there, it adds up to 6 to 12 pounds. And the doctor looked at me and he said, Tim, you got 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag, and if you ever want to be healthy, truly healthy, then you got to clean that stuff out. It's that simple. So they were trying to push on us and sell us on the fact of getting a colonic, which nobody wants to do, hardly anybody does. Are you familiar with those? So a colonic or colon hydrotherapy session for the listeners is you sit on a little tube rectally, and water gently goes in and out of your colon for an hour. It's a therapy. There's a technician there helping you. And they clean your colon out.
So
very
funny you
gently
said
with
that.
water.
Somebody
Pretty
just
simple.
on Instagram posted on the stories yesterday and asked if we've heard of that, and I answered no because I haven't. So
yeah, and pretty much everybody needs to do it, but nobody wants to, right? We developed a product called Gut Detox that will clean the intestinal tract, small and large intestine, in 15 days. Without having to do that, but I still recommend people do it, right? The reason why we did that is because it's so important. This is the first step to turning your health around. It's an inside job. That's what it is. From the inside out. You want to have beautiful skin, you want to have lots of energy, you got to take care of your intestinal villi, those hair-like structures lining the intestinal tract. You got to keep them clean, full of bacteria, and you want them healthy, right? You don't want them fermenting. You want them to be digesting stuff. So, I did that colon hydrotherapy thing. I signed up because, and I didn't want to do it when he first talked about it. I'm like, I remember elbowing Charles and say, hey, look, dude, I flew thousands of miles. I'm here to help you, but I ain't doing that. When he got done talking, and what sold me on it was he started showing pictures. He showed 3 colonoscopy things where they put the camera scope inside of you, and they looked at like a 24-year-old woman with Hashimoto's and thrush, which is like a yeast infection. And her colon's like yellow and nasty and white and weird shit, right? And then a 64-year-old man with prostate cancer, colon cancer and parasites. And it was all brown and black and nasty and worms crawling around in there. And then I'm just like, what? You can see this. Like, they're right. Like, pictures are worth 60,000 words. And then they had a woman's like in her 40s or 50s, and she had like breast cancer and, Hashimoto's or something. And it's all green and brown and nasty. Then they showed a picture of somebody with a healthy colon. Now, he's like, people that eat like what we teach, this is what their colon looks like. It's all pink and the red blood vessels and look nice. And he said, if you're on the standard American diet, this is what your colon looks like. And I'm thinking, shit. Like, my colon must be messed up, because I guarantee you I've eaten more meat, potatoes than any of these people. Because I kept 5 freezers full of deer and elk and chuckers and pheasants, and we had beef and lasagna and, all of it, turkey. So I'm just like, dang it. So I went in the next day. They weighed me. I did the colon hydrotherapy session, and they weighed me again. Dan, I dropped 10 pounds of impacted fecal material in one 1-hour session. The record in 2011 at that time, after 600,000 people through the door, one lady had dropped 27 pounds of impacted fecal material from one 1-hour colon hydrotherapy session. Think about that. It's the size of a medium-sized dog. Right? Think about that. I mean, that's shocking, right? So the average person has 6 to 12 pounds. And I'm telling you right now, if you ever want to be healthy, you can't run away from this. You can't hide from it. You have to get it cleaned out. Now, if you're a boxer, if you're an MMA fighter or a wrestler, this is big news for you, because you can get rid of 6 to 12 pounds of funk and gunk and junk that's not serving you, and you can put 6 to 12 pounds of lean muscle on your body and have an advantage over. And I coach a lot of these guys, and it's the first thing they do. They love it because they can... they become stronger for their weight class, because they're replacing dead, rotting material with healthy muscle. It's pretty cool. So that was my experience, dude. That was my experience. And my friend, just to finish up, I come back home. In 60 days, I lost 42 pounds. Both of my elbows had healed up completely. 8 months later, my knee had healed up. The skin issue on my shoulder healed up. I could see my ribs again. My energy came back. I got back into working out like crazy. I became one of the healthiest people on the planet. And my friend Charles, in 2.5 years, healed himself with no chemo, no surgery, no radiation of his chronic lymphocytic leukemia, this incurable so-called blood cancer. And he's still alive today. We played guitar together. He went from bankruptcy and cancer diagnosis to thriving business, thriving health. He got to see his son graduate high school, went to father-son weekend through Oregon State University. And that was the big story, is that this guy he saved himself. And that inspired me to keep doing the lifestyle. And I felt so good. I eventually got out of financial planning, and I get to help other people transform themselves like Charles and I did. And it's not work, it's fun.
Yeah. Gosh, that is so cool. So for you and Charles, what were some of the biggest things that you guys did for that transformation? You did the hydro colon therapy. Your diet was radically transformed. Yeah. What did that look like with diet? Was it much more plant-based now?
Yeah, we went full on raw living foods, plant-based for 8.5. I did it for 8.5 years, and I don't know if he's still 100% or not. And then I went back and experimented, because And then I added meat back in, and then at the beginning of this year, I was going to like go all raw vegan again, and I did that until pretty much last week. I went on a fishing trip with my sons up in Alaska, and they're 21 and 18, and I just pretty much ate everything.
Yeah.
So I actually did an experiment. I said, you know, what the hell? I'm going to eat everything they put out. And there was lasagna, and they had, I mean, I didn't put everything, but they had meatloaf, and I had that. I mean, I was just like, I never ate so much meat in years. Like, you know, I might make an omelet in the fall when we have chanterelle mushrooms or something like that. Or if we had morel mushrooms in May and June, I might make an omelet. That, you know, you catch a halibut and you're, Tim, hey, have a piece of this smoked halibut. I'll eat a little bit, right? But I eat very little meat. I eat tons of plants and stuff like that, and that's what's worked for me. And everybody's different. You know, some people might need more meat.
Yep.
I know a couple people, they eat all meat, and all their allergies and that stuff has worked for them. But I don't know if they've ever gotten really detoxed properly, and you know, so it's a longer story. But everybody's different. They got to figure out what works for them.
Wow.
Right. So
that's so cool. And then the other thing is with energy, you know, obviously eating better, getting more exercise, like that's getting better sleep, that's just going to naturally give you more energy. What are some other things that have helped you along the way for weight loss and just having better and more energy throughout the day?
Well, number one is, what's your body mostly made of, Dan?
Water.
So, okay, your body's mostly made of water. So that's probably the most important thing besides air. Like we take 20,000 breaths a day. Our company's called Chemical Free Body for a reason. Because when you guys are done with this, listen to this podcast, go type these 3 words into your browser. Umbilical cord chemical. Umbilical cord chemical. You'll see the studies going back to 2005 that show that every single child being born and young mother, supposedly the healthiest of all of us, they check the blood in the umbilical cord, and they're finding, you know, they look for 400 chemicals. They find 250 of what they're looking for, about 71%. 180 cause cancer in humans. Now think about what I just said. Every child being born has 180 cancer-causing chemicals. And dude, they're only looking for 400. Because it's very expensive. There's over 100,000 toxic chemicals out there. What that means is that the young child and young mother could have up to 71,000 chemicals in the bloodstream. 180 of the studies show that they cause cancer. 212 cause developmental and brain disorders. And this is why cancer now is overtaken children's death rate. Because children from 1 to 5 years old, it used to be accidents, number 1 killer. Children from 5 to 16, accidents. It's still accidents. But now, brain cancer is overtaken as the number 1 killer of our children. Think about that. And then now number 2 for kids 5 to 16 is now tied between brain cancer and leukemias, lymphomas.
That is scary stuff.
So we have toxins, right? So that's when I sat back in my chair and I'm like, oh my God, if these young kids and moms, the healthiest of all of us supposedly, are that polluted, we're screwed. We're all polluted. Because the older you are, the more time you have to bioaccumulate these toxic chemicals in your blood, your fat, and your muscle tissue through the air you breathe, the water you drink, the foods you eat, the skincare products, the shampoos, the deodorants, the toxic clothing that you're wearing if it's synthetic, all this stuff. They spray like flame retardants on your Samsung TV as an example.
Oh my God, that's wild, man.
What are the volatile? All these things, dude. Acetone, like if you're doing your nails. You open a bottle of acetone, and in 15 minutes, anybody in that house has detectable levels of acetone in the liver. Wow. Right? So paint's off gassing for over 4.5 years in your home after it's been cured after 10 days. Toxic chemicals. Yep. Your carpet is off gassing formaldehyde for 30 years. And you're breathing that shit in, your baby's crawling across it. Yep. MIT showed us that the Pergo floors, those laminate floors, toxic chemicals directly linked to autism in children.
Holy cow.
So their chemicals are everywhere. We got automobile exhaust, jet fuel, rubber compounds off of tires, industrial waste. Okay, so that's the big problem in our environment today. It's pollution. It's not climate change and all this global warming crap, these crazy scientists that are checkbook science and scientific consensus. We have got to get back to the scientific method. Pollution is the problem. That is the big problem we're facing today. Yeah. So to answer your question, I had to set that up because... how did I get healthy? How to get my energy back? I cleaned out these freaking crappy chemicals out of my body, and I've continued to do it. We do it, what we teach is a daily detox, because we're always repolluting.
Yeah.
The first thing to do is you need to drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of, listen closely, purified, and if you're on city tap water, restructured water.
Okay.
Because the high pressure pipes in the city coagulate the water molecules. Instead of a 4 or 5 cluster, they get to 20, 25 cluster. You can drink tons of water like I did for 8.5 years. Yes, it's good. It's going to help you out, but you're going to pee. It's just going to go in and go right back out. You're going to pee all the time. That's what all of our clients said for years. This gal, Danusha, I connected with her, and she's like, you got to get this water machine. I'm like, I know about the water machine. It's great for alkalinization, but I don't need it. People with cancer, it's purification first. You have to get your water purified, and all water is polluted today.
Yeah.
1,500 miles into the interior, the little 2 and 2.5 inch fish have both male and female organs today. Now, Dan, why? Because of the estrogen mimickers from plastics. Plastic estrogen mimickers are so pervasive, they're everywhere in the ecosystem. They're disrupting hormones in fish and amphibians and all the creeks and all the tributaries, and they're disrupting us.
Yep.
It leads to breast cancer, ovarian cyst, uterine cyst, prostate cancer, man boobs. So, like, I don't want to drink. That's why I don't drink out of plastic bottles.
Yep.
I drink out of glass. Occasionally stainless steel, but getting your water right is so important. So Danusha's like, you got to get just, what restructure your water. And for some reason, I'm open on most stuff, but I was closed-minded. She puts me on the phone with this expert. Thank God she didn't give up on me. And he said, Tim, just go drink the effing water. So I went over to her house. I grabbed a quart. I drank it. She told me to put a couple salt crystals under my tongue. 15 minutes later, she made me drink another quart of this restructured water. And I'll tell you what happened. In minute 24, boom, the energy went on in my brain. My arms started tingling.
Wow.
I felt like I was freaking high on water. And I was like, holy crap. She said, now, I've never done this before, but I'm going to give you a third quart. And I'm like, geez, I don't know if I can do another one. And 15 minutes later, I drank another one. Dude, I've been drinking water for 8.5 years and preaching it and teaching it. There's no way I could have drank that in, 30 minutes. I drank 3 quarts of water.
Dang.
Normally, I couldn't have done it, but this water just disappeared.
Yeah.
It got absorbed because it was restructured, you see. And then I didn't have to pee for like 2 hours, but then when I peed later, it was like whoosh, then it all came out. And I was like, it went into my system. It went into my cardiovascular system. It went into my lymphatic system. It had a chance to get to my cells. And when I learned this water is not only alkalized, restructured, but it's also charged with molecular hydrogen, which is a big deal. It's a whole conversation. I usually send people to Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. He's got a YouTube video on molecular hydrogen. Blow your socks off. But this water is like, you get your water right, dude, it's a game changer. Yeah. It's not the amount you drink, but it's the type. So this is probably the biggest investment people are going to have to make into their life, because you're going to have to spend, you're going to have to invest probably about, $4,000 or $5,000 to get the purifier and to get this thing that alkalizes restructured. But once you have that in place, you've got an endless supply of water for you and your family that literally, like the gal that, she had post-traumatic stress disorder after childbirth, and she was just crying and the doctors couldn't help her. She got on this water and she got on high-quality supplements like mine, and she healed herself. She healed herself.
It's so incredible.
With those two things. So the water is huge. And if people want to, people always used to say, hey, well, how do I get a hold of Danusha? Try to spell Danusha on a podcast and let people try to find it. So we get like 100 emails saying, hey, connect me with Danusha. So I built a landing page. If anybody's interested, you can go to mypurifiedwater.com. That's mypurifiedwater.com. You can book a free consult with Danusha.
Awesome.
And she can help you with your water needs.
That's awesome.
If you want.
I was just about to ask, where could we go to learn more about this? Because, if you do a Google search, you can go down a rabbit hole of all kinds of things on the internet. So brilliant idea.
Yeah. So I'm basically high on water every day. So that would be the first thing that I would teach people. That's our core 4 secret. Number 1 is that. Core secret number 2 is chew your food until liquefied. This is foundational. It's the first step. If you don't chew your food, you're going to have fermentation and gut rot. If you do chew your food, you will have digestion and assimilation of nutrients. And people don't realize, Dan, that most of digestion actually takes place in the mouth. We have 6 glands in our mouth that secrete the enzymes amylase and lipase that break down our starches and fats. So we chew our food really well. If we do that, and less than 4% of the population is doing that, by the way. So major room for improvement here. The enzymes then go down into the gut and break down the foods. Okay? If you don't chew your food well, you get fermentation and gut rot, which leads to leaky gut and a whole host of health issues. Also, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who's 80 and can do like 30 pull-ups, pretty good guy to listen to, he said that by chewing your food really well, you're actually stimulating the meridian points in your teeth. Now, hold your hat on this one. You can uptake your serotonin levels, your happy juice, by up to 500%.
Wow. That's remarkable.
What supplement or what pharmaceutical drug can you take that can upregulate serotonin, happy juice, by 500%? You can do this by simply chewing your food and stimulating your meridian points. The body is a machine, and it's supposed to work that way. But people, like me, I used to just engulf my food like Garfield because I had to get back to a client or who chews their food. My mom told me to do it, so I'm not going to do it. It's a game changer. Core secret number 3: avoid liquids with meals. Now that you've chewed your food well, if you drink purified restructured water, apple juice, lemon juice, which would be kind of sour, but lemonade, or beer or wine, you're going to dilute those digestive enzymes and go from digestion and assimilation back to fermentation and gut rot. So stop drinking liquids 30 minutes before you eat, wait an hour after, and then drink a lot of liquids again. That's for beginners. For people that are Olympic level athletes, stage 4 cancer, you want to look and feel your best, stop drinking liquids an hour before and wait 2 hours after you're done eating, and then drink a lot of liquids again. That's and less than 2% of the population is doing that one. So again, massive room of improvement. And then our last one is doing 1 to 2 minutes of breath work prior to a meal. Powerful. We kind of live in a stressed out society. Would you agree? Yeah. Throw COVID on top of it, the COVID disaster, people are in fight or flight mode. When you're in fight or flight mode, the blood leaves the organ systems. It goes to the extremities to fight or flight. So you're not going to digest your food well. So you just do this. Take a big deep breath. And I know you're big into breath work. In through your nose like this. Pause at the top and then out through the mouth. In fact, I don't even care. Breathe in your nose, out your nose, in your mouth, out your mouth. Just do some deep breaths. Back in through the nose. Pause at the top, and then out through the mouth. Just do this for a freaking minute or two. And what happens is the blood rushes from the extremities back into the organ systems, and you can digest your food. Less than 1% of the population is doing this. Now, this is what we believe is the foundation to health, these core 4 secrets. These are things, all of them are free except for getting your water right. So 3 of them you can start immediately, right? And on the cheap, if you need to, like Danush will tell you, if you don't have the money to get your water all dialed in, because you can buy a $300 machine, kind of work your way up. You can just go to the local grocery store and get at least single purified water for 25 to 44 cents a gallon. Put it in glass jars and pack it. But financially, just get get your water right? This works so well because we ship our products all over the world, Dan. And because of the COVID delays, it could take 2 weeks to a month for stuff to show up in Ireland or New Zealand or Australia. And we get emails every day, which I love, so keep sending them. And they're saying, Tim, my gas and bloating's going away. My energy's improved. My mental clarity's up. They don't even have the products yet. But guess what? They started doing 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of these core 4 secrets. I love that.
They're so simple.
They're just basics.
So simple. Like you said, 3 out of the 4 are free. Love the breathwork exercise, and that for me is like with breath work, we tend to make it a little complicated where we get into all this like deep breathing and these big exercises that seem like it's just like this big chore, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just a simple deep breath in through your nose and pause and then an exhale out, and anybody can do it. And it's just a matter of being mindful and taking a few extra moments before you start eating. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. It's also like it's a tool in your toolkit that you can use to reduce stress anytime, during work, whatever. And you know what? Here's a challenge for you listeners. If you're not doing any breath exercises yet or breath work, whatever you want to call it, I call it breath play. Like it. Make it fun. Is that smokers are doing more breath work than you because do they do? They take in a big breath. And smokers are doing breath work now. Minus the cigarette, they're kicking ass, right? So don't let the smokers do more. It's so funny you mentioned that. I just heard that. I was either on a podcast or Clubhouse. Somebody was just talking about that yesterday, about how smokers are doing really deep breathing because, like you said, they're inhaling the cigarette and then exhaling. Mm-hmm. I love that phrase. Don't let smokers It's so funny because I can't even tell you how many, I've done hundreds of podcasts. It's the
I
first
love
time
that.
I've ever said that.
It's so funny timing-wise, too, because I just heard that for the first time yesterday, too. Yeah.
It's so funny. Synchronicity
It really
life is so
really
interesting.
Those are awesome tips. One other thing while we're talking about a lot of nutrition, intermittent fasting. Do you practice intermittent fasting? What does that do for you? How does that improve your energy? What are your thoughts on IF?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the most powerful things that a person can do. And we've been genetically programmed to fast, right? So even go back later years, when people were nomadic, like they would follow the sun up to north and then fresh tinder, and then they come back down. And we would walk for, let's say we'd find the ancestors of spinach or cabbage in a meadow or in the fall berries or whatever. We'd eat one food monolithically. Okay, we wouldn't have a steak from Iowa, potatoes from Idaho, and asparagus from Peru, and then top it off with Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Okay, that's improper food combining, number one. But that's just not how we were programmed. We would eat one food monolithically. That's it. And then we'd walk for 2 or 3 days, Dan, and we wouldn't eat because we were looking for food, looking for our food, right? And then we'd find food again, and we'd eat. So we are programmed to not eat all the time. But big business wants you to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, breakfast, because it's good for them. And big food companies then overfeed you, denatured food, and you're starving to death on a cellular level. So you eat and you eat and you eat, and you can never satisfy your need for nutrition because there's nothing in the food, hardly. 85% of the nutrients are farmed out of the soil. So, and then that feeds into you getting weak, getting sick, which feeds into the pharmaceutical industries and the medical industry. And, it's a big incestuous, terrible place to be. So you got to remove yourself from that.
That makes sense. I think what a lot of people don't realize when they're hearing about intermittent fasting or fasting in general for the first time is how much work we're putting on our bodies by eating constantly, right? Like, not that long ago, it was recommended eat 6 meals a day, small meals throughout the day, snacking, and silly. Right? It's just illogical. And now we're finally waking up to the idea of letting our body rest and digest.
Well, let's look at this. I mean, when you eat, now people think like, wow, I go out and I work as a carpet layer, or I'm a construction. I did construction work. That's hard work. Physical labor, packing pipes, jumping in ditches, shoveling, hard ass work. But it doesn't compare to the energy expenditure of digesting food. You got to look at your digestive tract as the driving engine of your life and your health, and it's literally like an engine, and it's working. If you have food in there, it has to process it. 60 to 80% of your daily energy is being used to process the foods you're eating. Think about that. 60 to 80% of your daily energy goes to process the foods you eat. So what I will say about intermittent fasting is that when you're not eating, all that energy that was used for processing food is rerouted to your activities of daily living. Your think, your mental clarity, your energy levels, right? And it allows your body and your cells to start cleaning up dead cells and healing itself. That's why water fasting is important. But I will say this. For those of you listening that are anorexic, that are bulimic, this is not a permission slip, okay? People that are anorexic, they see themselves as an overweight person. There's a self-image issue there. The bulimic people, this is a deep emotional issues that they're dealing with. And also type 2 diabetics should not jump into fasting or intermittent fasting. It could cause major problems. For type 2 diabetics, what we recommend is like, because I'll just explain like part of our program over here in our coaching program. The first thing we do is we get people off of heavy foods for breakfast. Gone. And the reason why is because we're extending because what is breakfast? Break fast, breakfast, break fast. You're breaking your fast. Everybody's fasting. We go to sleep, we're fasting all night. So it's not like it's something you're not doing. You're doing it. We're just extending it a little bit. So we replace that heavy meal with liquid nourishment. Now, you can make a fresh pressed green juice, or we use our Green 85 juice formula to replace the 85% of nutrients that are farmed in the soil. Put it in water, shake it up, drink it. Now, you're flooding your body with nutrients, but these are all pre-digested. So in 20 minutes, it goes through your esophagus, through your stomach, into the small intestine, into the bloodstream. Very little effort,
Yes.
but it got the nutrients the body needs. So it cuts back on the hunger cravings, it gives you the mental clarity, the energy, and then we recommend no eating until after 11 a.m. That's the first step, because your body's doing a natural back flush or detox from nighttime until about 11 a.m. in the morning. So if you have breakfast, you break the fast, you're actually stopping your body's natural detoxification process. And my God, do we have a lot of toxic chemicals in us today. Go look up umbilical cord chemical. Don't take my word for it. We're polluted, and people are polluted today. We got to get that crap out. Now, for type 2 diabetics, what we do with them is we have them eat monolithically in the morning. We'll have them either do like quinoa only, or teff, which is an Ethiopian grain, which is kind of like malto meal. And you could put like a little bit of a vegan butter on that, or clarified butter and cinnamon and some stevia to sweeten it, or you could do some little seasonings and make it more savory, maybe some garlic and onion powder and some basil or something, right? Or you can do a green leafy salad. So we have them do that until they can eventually, and they're doing these other changes until they're off their medications, and then the type 2 diabetics can then just replace it with liquid nourishment.
I love some of the things you mentioned. Yeah.
So it's powerful, dude. Intermittent fasting is powerful. A 3-day water fast will completely reset your immune system. We recommend doing that quarterly once you're
you
up
mentioned
to
a few
speed
things
and
that
you're ready for that.
I very infrequently hear when people talk about intermittent fasting. The energy piece, right? A lot of people say it gives me more energy, but they don't talk about why. And the fact that we're using so much energy to digest our food, and when you're fasting, you're giving other areas of your life that energy, right? To have more mental clarity, to be more active, to be a little bit more productive. I don't hear that from too many people. And I'm also really pleased that you've talked about that intermittent fasting is not for everybody, right? You get into the community and it's like people get like, it's almost like a cult where it's like everybody's got intermittent fast. It's not the case.
Well, I got almost in a debate this morning with a couple of my coaches about this, because one of them said it's not for everybody. What I would say is this: intermittent fasting is for everybody when they're ready. Right? Because I know we've been genetically programmed to get to that point, but some of us, like type 2 diabetics, they got to heal up first before they can get to that point. Somebody with anorexia or bulimia has a mental disorder, and they've got to get that shit taken care of, and once they get strong, then they can do it. Because you're right. I mean, there's some people that will literally just eat terrible foods because they know the power of fasting, and they just go fast. So they're doing this seesaw thing where they eat like shit and then they fast, and they eat like crap and then they fast. That's not healthy too. That's a problem. If you're in that cycle and you're using it, fasting as a tool because you know how powerful it is, you have some work to do there, and you need to really plug into somebody, because it's really hard on your organs and it's in your psyche, 100%. And your emotions. It's not cool, and you need to love yourself enough to recognize this and to seek some help. And at least get a coach or get a good therapist or psychotherapist. Just be careful, because 95% of them are crazy. So you got to find it's like that in most industries. I mean, a good plumbers, good contract worker, good health coach. I mean, but the psychotherapists a lot of them are kind of nutbags. So find a good one. But
no, that's so good. I love it. So with supplements, I want to get a little bit further into that, because obviously you have your own supplements. Tell us about supplementation, the truth about supplementation, and for someone that's just looking for the right place to go to, because like you said, just about any industry, majority of them are not good. Yeah. You might get frustrated of, where can I find good supplements? What would you say to that?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, when I got back from the Hippocrates Health Institute, I learned about this whole food lifestyle, whole food diet, right? Raw, whole foods and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm from Eastern Oregon. I was out in the woods all the time. We had our own garden, natural. I'm just gonna eat natural foods, and they had a lot of supplements there, and I didn't hardly buy any of them, because I'm like, I don't need supplements. I want to do it natural. See, remember, I was the guy that always told the doctor, I don't want Prilosec. I don't want that stuff. So inherently, it was ingrained in me, this natural being, right? So when they were offering supplements, even though they said it was whole food supplements, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna do nature. Well, I came back for a year or two. And that's what I did. I didn't do supplements. I mean, I did digestive enzymes, because those made sense to me. to help rehabilitate my digestive tract, because I learned that in that 3.5 hour class. See, because I got educated. The education led me to those digestive enzymes. So I was using those, and that was pretty much it. Then I read about I got into soil, and I found out that 85% of the nutrients were farmed out of the soil. So then I connected the dots. I'm like, oh, well, even if it's grown organic, if the soil's depleted, then the plant will be depleted, and I'm going to be depleted. Or if the soil's depleted and the plant's depleted, and they feed the plant to an animal, the animal's depleted, and then I eat the animal, I'm going to be depleted. Right? Deficient.
Exactly.
So what I realized is that pretty much everybody out there is walking around living on 15% fuel. Like, you know the difference between a vine-ripened tomato in the grocery store versus going to your aunt's house and picking a vine-ripened tomato? It is night and day, flavor, taste, amazing, right? The one in the store is not even close, right?
Yep.
It's because it's missing vital nutrients. They weren't there. That's why it doesn't taste like. It's the shell. It's the hollow shell of what it could be. It's missing stuff, right? So that's when I was like, oh my God, I need to supplement. So today, supplementation is not like some luxury thing. It's a necessity, because simply it's not in the soil anymore. The only way you can get around this is if you're growing your own foods in your own nutrient-dense soil and you're harvesting them on the spot, or you're growing sprouts in the house, and those seeds that you got where you're growing these sprouts are grown in nutrient-dense soils, and you know the farmer and you know their planting practices, okay, now you're good. But we're talking you're the less than 1%. Okay?
Yep, 100%.
That's what it is. I was a sprout grower, dude. We were growing wheatgrass, sunflower sprouts, and pea sprouts, and we were delivering trays of these. My whole garage got converted into this because I had over 5,000 people to my house for these juicing, detox, raw food dinner classes. And we were delivering 40 to 50 cancer patients a week we were delivering sprouts to. So I got really into sprout growing. I learned a lot about seeds. And very few people will do it because of the effort. And in the beginning, they'll get the wrong seeds. They have mold issues. It's just a pain in the butt. But once you figure it out, it's simple. It's really easy.
Right.
Actually, on my show, I did a whole episode on sprouting and how you can increase your nutrition in your life up to 800% through sprouting. In the Health Hero Show. So that would be a good episode to check out for those that want to learn how to sprout and put the freshest foods in your. Some people don't have access. Like some of these inner city kids, I feel terrible for them. All they have is Twinkies and Ho-Hos at the local, mini mart. This is not nutrition.
No.
So we are literally starving. So to answer your question, supplementation is a necessity today. But now you walk into the supplement world, and what do you got? Well, first off, 85% of the supplements on the market are owned by pharmaceutical companies. Pure synthetics. Pure acid-based synthetics. They will not work with your carbon-based body. They're acid-based. 92% of the supplements total are acid-based synthetics. So that leaves us with 8% that are whole food or food-based, herbal-based. Well, that's good, you'd think, but there's this thing called other ingredients. Okay, because the other ingredients are still ingredients. Now, I showed you this earlier. On our deal, it shows, you see that magnesium, it says no magnesium stearate, no silicon dioxide, no dicalcium phosphate. In big red letters below other ingredients. Now, why did I put that there? Well, through my research, I found that most supplement manufacturers, the whole food ones, they too send them off to these manufacturing companies. These are called excipients, binders, fillers, and flow agents. They are used to bind the ingredients together in tablets. They're used to fill up the capsules because Americans don't want to buy an empty capsule, and synthetics don't take up very much room. So people are not going to buy an empty capsule. Hey, I'm getting ripped off. So they fill it up with a toxin, literally. Or flow agents. These flow agents help the encapsulation machines not get caked. They're anti-caking, so the raw materials will flow through quickly for production. Now, our facility down in California, in our lab, it's an encapsulation unit, but it works very slow. It's a very slow process, and we use natural flow agents like non-GMO rice bran as an example, which is actually a good fiber prebiotic that feeds the good gut bacteria. So instead of having a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list, which is silicon dioxide, and I challenge everybody listening today, go look at your supplement labels and look at the other ingredients. If you see magnesium stearate, silicon dioxide, dicalcium phosphate. Those are just 3 of the top ones. You're putting toxic chemicals in your body. You should not patronize that company, and you should call them up and tell them, you get that crap out of there, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you change an industry. You stop giving them your money.
Exactly.
Right? So we have that laid out. Now let's say, how do you pick a good supplement? Well, pull out your multivitamin. I'll give you guys an example. Just look up vitamin C. Now, if your vitamin C on your multivitamin, or your vitamin C for that matter, behind it in parentheses, if it says ascorbic acid, you're consuming a synthetic chemical. It should, if it's a whole food product, it would say vitamin C, and then in parentheses behind it, from the Arceola cherry, or from the camu berry, or from the amla berry. Now you know you have a whole food, naturally occurring source in nature. It was hand-picked, and then put in there, right? But you have to be careful of those other ingredients. And I'll tell you a quick story that really resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, please.
This lady she had won county, and her brownie recipe had won county. She won state, and she was going to nationals. And she's making her brownies and getting them all ready. And her daughter comes home, her 16-year-old daughter with her friend. And she's like, Mom, guess what? There's this new movie out. Everybody in town's going. We want to go, blah, blah, blah. And she knew her mom was going to ask her. And she's like, okay, honey, what's it rated? She's like, I knew you were going to ask, but it's rated R. But, Mom, guess what? There's only one cuss word, and there's only this one brief scene of nudity. This guy walks by, and you barely see his butt cheek. Okay, so, and everybody's seeing it. I already kind of know what the movie is, but we want to go. We got to go. Please let us go. And she's like, and she knew her mom was not going to let her go. Okay, her mom's just a stickler on this stuff. She's like, okay, you can go, but under one condition. She's like, what? What are you going to make me do? She's like, you and your friend have to have one of my brownies before you go. They looked at each other like, okay. And they reached down and grabbed the brownies. They're about ready to engulf them and run off to the movie. And her mom says, now hold on a second. Before you eat these, I want to let you know this recipe is just a little different. Now, it's the same recipe I used to win county. I won state. I'm going to nationals, but I really want to make sure I won nationals. So it's the exact same recipe, except this one's just got a little tiny bit, not much, just a little bit of cat poop in it. And the girls are like, oh my God! And they threw it down. She's like, but you're not even going to taste it. You can't even see it. They're like, we're not going to eat that. That's disgusting. And she said, and that's exactly why you're not going to go watch that movie. Because that cuss word and that brief scene of nudity has tainted that movie, and it's not something that a 16-year-old child needs to watch. Go about your business, right? And that's how I feel in the food industry and the supplement industry. The supplement industry should be food, okay? It shouldn't be synthetics, number one. I got so pissed, dude, because I started reading labels on food and drinks and beverages and supplements. Yep. There's toxic chemicals in these things. Why are we consuming these things? If you're not going to eat cat poop and brownies, why would you have a level 3 toxin in your vitamin C or your vitamin A or your supplements or your multivitamin? Don't do it. Stop giving these people money and stop harming your health.
Yes.
Right?
So
just
good.
Don't do it. Take your money and give it to a company that is doing things right. Now, dude, it even gets worse. If you go into big box stores and you're buying supplements, I know the industry very well. I can't bring their name up because I'll get sued. My formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway, is one of the top formulators in the supplement industry. Okay, he formulates for 17 of the top supplement companies. He likes me because I'm the only one that lets him do it completely naturally occurring. All the other ones, they always cut corners. And there's synthetics slipped in there. Now, on their labels, the way the labeling laws are, it can say organic, but they have synthetics in there. And you don't even know now. The labels are misleading and they lie. And how are they doing it? Because they take a yeast, which is a natural occurring deal in nature, and they force the yeast to eat the synthetic. And somehow magically, it's not a synthetic anymore. No, it's still a synthetic. And why do they do that? Because it's cheaper, right? It's cheaper. Yeah. Our products, I'll give you an example. These greens, my main business is we're coaches over here. I'm a health coach. I have a coaching practice. I have a group coaching practice for people who can afford, different levels. We have coaches. These products that we built are part of our toolkit. We have lots of tools. These are just part of it. Because I got so frustrated doing all this research and calling companies and do all this stuff. I find a product, and then 6 months later, there's xanthan gum in there. I'm like, what the hell is this? Xanthan gum. I look it up. It's mutated corn syrup fermented in bacteria, used as an emulsifier because people don't want to shake their drink twice. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I had to call all my clients to have them refund their money, send the thing back, and then I had to go research again. Find another product. Okay, I think I got a good one, right? And then 6 months later, they put some other crap in it, or I find out it's one of those diabolical deals, which I met Dr. Treadway, and they don't even tell you, right? So you have to be very, very careful. Everything in our products, 100% naturally occurring in nature. Another one to look out for is natural flavors. If you see natural flavors, that means by law only 10% needs to be natural. 90% can be synthetic. In almost all cases, it's 90% synthetic. It's almost the same as like when I was a financial advisor. I'd be doing a mutual fund review for people, and it would say, this fee could be anywhere between 0 and 4%. I said, well, let's look up this fee and find out. We call up, and this was on like page 136 of their prospectus. We call up the client, the company, on hold forever. It's like calling DMV. We finally get through, and guess what the percentage was they were getting charged? Every time. Guess what?
I don't know.
4%. It was 0 to 4, but guess what? Every freaking time I called these companies, different companies, as a financial advisor doing reviews for my clients, they were getting charged the max, 4%. So it's the same thing with that natural flavors. It's almost 90% synthetic chemicals in natural flavors. That's why I tell people, if you see natural flavors, you set that bottle down and run to the door. Don't walk. Get the hell out of there. Stop giving your money to companies that are cutting corners and they don't care. Even if they don't know, they need to figure it out. My goal and my mission is not just to have really good products, but to lead the industry and bring the industry back to what it should be. It should be 100% naturally occurring, no binders or fillers or flow agents that are synthetic or toxic, for God's sakes. All the ingredients should be air dried like ours, under 110 degrees to keep the enzymes active. And you should be able to test your supplements at the end of manufacturing with Kirlian photography, which would show the life force, the emanating from it. It's kind of like a night scope thing. And we have that. We have 2 Kirlian photography machines at the lab.
That's really cool.
And that's why I went with Dr. Treadway, because he was the only one that even knew what Kirlian photography was. I learned about that at the Hippocrates Health Institute. So supplements today are, a lot of them are landmines, and you have to be educated on this stuff. And you might feel an effect, and you might feel okay, and some of them are good. I mean, they have good product. I look at them and I'm like, wow, this is a great formula. And then I look down there and there's like magnesium stearate and silicon dioxide. I'm like, I ain't putting it in my body. There's cat poop in there.
Wow. So
anyway, that's what I have to say about that. And I hope this really brings, for those of you that are really interested in health and moving forward with your health, and some groundwork here on how to pick out good supplements.
Super informative. As soon as we hang up here, I'm going over to my supplements and checking out all the bottles and the ingredients, because a lot of people just don't know these things that you've shared with us today. They're just not aware. They haven't had the resources to become aware, to become educated. And that's why I'm so grateful for this conversation, is that you've brought...
How far away are your bottles?
It's about 20 feet. You want me to go grab them?
Yeah,
all right,
I'll hold the
sounds
fort
good.
down for
grab
you.
them.
Okay, so Dan's going to go grab these bottles right now. And this will be interesting because I've had a few people actually grab them during these podcasts, and then they bring them back, and then they're like, oh my God. And they start looking at them. It's this way every time. Every time I'd go over and do, I used to go over to people's homes and help them set up a chemical-free home. We would go through their cupboards. I'd go through the refrigerator. I'd go through all their products, their cheese, their everything, and their supplements. And every time they were like, almost, I would say probably 70 to 90% of their supplements had some crap in them. All right, so let's just pick out. Do you have a multivitamin there?
And some of these...
Okay, let's look at that multivitamin. Let's go to that multivitamin and look just at the vitamin C, just because we already explained
the
that.
Multivitamin, I am affiliate partnership with them, so I don't want to share names, but this is going to be really interesting if we have ingredients.
Does it say ascorbic acid?
We're going to find...
It'd be vitamin C, and then it would say behind it in parentheses. Unless there's no vitamin C in it.
It looks like it's I'm going to butcher the pronunciation here. Pantothenic acid?
Pantothenic acid?
Yeah. That's next to vitamin C.
And then what about down below in the other ingredients? Just read off
it's
the
got,
other ingredients.
in terms of the vitamins or what?
Other ingredients. Does it have other ingredients down below? I know there's probably a lot.
There's a lot here.
There's a lot of language.
Here it shows the proprietary blend.
Is there anywhere on there that says other ingredients?
No. But I think this proprietary blend it lists a bunch of ingredients. I'm wondering if that's it.
Okay. Well, maybe just grab a simpler one. That one's hard to read.
I have a B12 here.
Do you see?
Would be
okay. Is it cyanocobalamin or methylcobalamin?
This one has other ingredients. Cellulose gel. Again, I'm going to butcher all of these pronunciations, so you're going to have to help me out here. Hypermellose.
Hypermethylcellulose. That one's okay. That's just fiber.
Stearic acid.
Yeah,
silicon dioxide.
There it is. That's a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list right there.
You're consuming this one is something I got
day.
at like my local grocery store.
Yep. Although those are, it's hard not to get. It's almost impossible to get something at a grocery.
Yeah.
Even the good health food stores. I used to take people on tours and show them how 85% of all the food and all the products in a good health food store are literally tainted.
Here's another one. Magnesium stearate. Is that another one?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That can come from diseased cow hides, especially if you see it says bovine. And then they put
tossing that one.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Or if it's a vegetable source, you have to be careful and call them because they might use genetically modified corn or soy, which means that you're basically putting formaldehyde into your body. If formaldehyde is so bad, like I told you earlier, I think we talked about carpets. I don't know. Carpets are off-gassing like formaldehyde. Well, when you eat a genetically modified plant, and that will be listed as a number 3 on the PLU sticker, so it'll be 30021 or something. So that when you're looking up vegetables, if it starts with a 9 on that price lookup sticker of fruits, it's organic. If it starts with a 4, that means conventionally grown with pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, and they actually use human waste treatment water plant sewage. They call it biosolids, and they spread our own human feces and urine on the crops. And then the third one starts with a 3. That's genetically modified. That disrupts the plant's metabolism, and the plant starts making formaldehyde. Now, I'm going to get a mortician on my show, and because what's happening now is people that have been eating GMO foods for a long time, they're telling me people, and they're coming in their 70s that are dying, 80s, they're kind of already embalmed. Think about that. Yeah. So formaldehyde, right? So magnesium stearate, silicon dioxide, dicalcium phosphate, those are the 3 big ones that you see in natural flavors. You also have to be careful of silica too, because silica, we do need silica, but there's a lot of bad forms of it. Calcium is a huge con job. A lot of people are taking calcium supplements, and only literally 1 out of 125 people are calcium deficient if they do the right test. But they've got everybody thinking, oh, you have weak bones, you need calcium. Well, the best way to fix your osteoporosis, osteopenia, and weak bones is weight resistance exercise. That's the number 1 nutrient. Number 1. Now, if you do have a calcium deficiency, you would go to like Arjuna tree bark. Totally bioavailable. That's a carbon-based form. Works really well with your body. Usually what they're doing is they sell us chalk, which can cause cancer, or ground up like seashells that can cause hardening of the arteries, gallstones, and kidney stones. And then they sell this stuff. It's in the box stores. They just sell it. Oh, I need my calcium. It's $12.99. Thank you very much. I want kidney stones. Hardening the arteries.
Wild.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, but it's cheap. It's cheap, Dan. It's like, well, it's a good deal.
I am so interested in this now. I'm trying to see if there's any other. So here's quercetin I got. Vegetable cellulose, microcrystalline cellulose, vegetable magnesium, the same one, stearate. Am I saying that right? And silicon dioxide.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that one you have to call them. Yeah, silicon dioxide.
Toss that to the side.
So, but if it didn't have silicon dioxide, you'd have to call that company and say, hey, what's your vegetable source? right? Because if it was from like alfalfa and it was non-GMO
Yeah.
alfalfa, then it's like, okay, I'm good to go. But if it's freaking corn or soy, it's probably GMO, and now you're consuming Franken food.
Wow.
And then
I found the
formaldehyde.
other ingredients on my multi here. Organic acacia. Again, I'm not good. Okay.
That one's fine. That one's fine. Did you find? Does it have vitamin C?
Not
listed
under
anywhere
not
there?
under other ingredients, but it does show under the supplement facts. It shows vitamin C, but it doesn't have anything in parentheses.
What does it say?
Under B?
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Some of them, most of
Under
them do.
B1, 2, and 3, it says
Well, that's good.
thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. I don't even know. Niacin. Yeah.
Niacin, yeah. Actually, if you guys want to have some fun, like you can take niacin. It's actually a fat loss protocol that we use too. We use niacin, infrared saunas, water, the rest of our products, but it speeds up fat loss. But you can actually get like a flush. Have you ever had niacin where you take it and you get that flush?
Yeah.
It's kind of like your arms get red and your face gets red and stuff like that. It's kind of scary the first time you do it. It's always start small, but it increases blood flow. It's actually kind of cool.
That's cool.
But
I'm gonna be doing some homework
anyway, that's
today,
just a little
reviewing all of my supplements and clearing out the bad ones.
That's good.
Yeah.
You can redo them.
Good stuff. Well, Tim, anything else?
awesome.
I have one or two other questions. Anything else that you wanted to cover, whether it's supplements or just healthy lifestyle, that you think maybe we haven't covered yet today?
Oh man, I'd probably say the biggest thing that's happened to me in the last year. I'm also a dealer for saunas. Okay, and it's because I heard Dr. Clement. I'll tell the story really quick. And basically, he was talking to this other doctor, Dr. Coyne, who, if you have 2 specialties in medicine, you're considered a genius. Dr. Coyne has 5. He helped Siemens Corporation develop the virtual colonoscopies. Remember I was telling you about earlier? Well, that was the dude behind it. Some other thing that was really brilliant. And what happened was 10 years ago over in Europe, doctors were doing a treatment called hyperthermia. They were raising up the core temperature of people's bodies, and they were killing cancer cells. But this had to be done under medical supervision, and they had to administer anti-convulsion medications, right? But it was working. Well, we got a lot of cancer over here in the U.S., and people were hearing about it, and they were squawking to the FDA and saying, hey, we want to be able to do this hyperthermia treatment. It seems to be working pretty good. Like, I want to save my life. I want to save my wife, or my husband, my kid. And so the FDA hired Dr. Coyne and 6 of his genius friends to do this 5-year testing on hyperthermia. At the end of that 5 years, he had a conversation with Dr. Clement. And Dr. Clement was like interested. He's like, wow, if this works, we'd like to find a way to do it at our institute to help people. We have cancer patients coming in by the boatloads every week. And he said, Brian, if you'll just get your patients into an infrared sauna for 30 minutes, 6 days a week, it's much more effective at killing cancer cells than the hyperthermia treatment that we studied for 5 years, which, by the way, is very effective. So in 2011, when I went to the institute, they had a steam sauna and I think a little Finlandia sauna in the spa room. When I went back in 2013, after Dr. Clement had that conversation with Dr. Coyne, the entire place was plastered with infrared saunas, and Dr. Clement, who travels 150 days a year, won't even go speak or travel unless there's a sauna available where he can take a sauna. That's how big of a deal it is. It's fantastic for detoxification, especially for the oil-based organs like the liver and the gallbladder. It pushes stuff out, heavy metals, radiation, all this crap. It's great for skin. It increases the core temperature, which kills viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, parasites. Unbelievable. It's great for, like I said, it's just great for like sleep, everything. Like proven, actually, like people that want to lose weight, if you don't change anything and you do an infrared sauna, clinically proven to lose weight. Like, it will melt the fat right off of you as it's pushing the toxins out. And that's usually one of the problems when people are trying to lose weight. They go work out and they have a tough time losing weight because your body has accumulated, remember, umbilical cord chemical, your body has accumulated so many toxins, it's storing it in the fat as a protective mechanism. And no matter how you work out, you change your diet, your fat won't release because too much of it would come out and it would kill you. Like, literally, you're so polluted. That's where we're at today. So that's why when I went to Hippocrates the first time, and I went through their process, you go through I had night sweats. I was irritable. I had a metallic taste coming out of my tongue as the heavy metals were leaving. I just wasn't a happy camper. Some people had it worse. They had rashes breaking out on their body, all over their face, their arms. Some people had parasites crawling out of their pores. At lunch, I literally had a lady had a parasite crawling out of her eye. I'm like, you got a parasite crawling out of your eye. And why? Because we were changing the internal terrain from acidic, low oxygen to high oxygen, high alkaline. So the harmful organisms don't like high oxygen, high alkaline, so they pack their bags and they leave, right? So another way to get them to leave is raising core temperature, right? So I did all this research, and I ended up landing on the same saunas that the Institute was using. I'm not going to name their names because I sold that sauna earlier this year. It was a $5,400 sauna, big one, like 500-600 pounds. And I bought this little 33-pound sauna for $1,900.
That's awesome.
And it's 6 to 9 times better. So they have a $1,300 unit that's just as good, but it just has a little bit less fancy covering, right? So the guts are the same. So people now, it's affordable. You can get a sauna, but it's this sauna within 25 minutes can raise your core temperature 3.2 degrees. No other sauna can do this. None. And I've been in the sauna industry for 8.5 years. So this is something in our coaching program. I mean, the other sauna is maybe a half a degree, 1 degree, 1.5 degrees. We're talking 3.2.
And is it something that's pretty easily? Cause like I'm in an apartment, 2-bedroom
it's the
apartment
size of a
here
stove.
in Chicago.
It just pops up like a little
something
tin.
you can fit into.
Yeah, dude, it weighs 33 pounds, and it fits up into a little thing the size of a suitcase. It's tiny. So I bought one for my mom. I got one for my sister, and you should get one. Everybody should get one of these saunas because it helps us in our polluted world, and it helps you sleep. And you know, when you do that breath work, you were talking about, what are you doing that? Because it puts you into parasympathetic mode, right? The rest and digest. 15 minutes in that sauna, you will sweat your butt off, but nothing will put you into parasympathetic mode faster. I don't care how stressed you are, you will be out of it. Because what I learned was, dude, is I didn't even know this, water's vibrational frequency is infrared. It's infrared. So when infrared is going into your body, it's actually charging your water molecules, shrinking the water, and shrinking your blood cells. And then the blood cells can get out to the capillaries even deeper and replenish your skin, helps with neuropathy, everything. Helps with everything. Everything's about blood flow. Your achy knees, your achy back, help pain and inflammation reduction. People that have knee issues, arthritis, this stuff works fantastic. So this sauna, why it's so special is because the scientist in Taiwan that developed it, they meditate. And through meditation, they downloaded the plans to these processors. Now, Max Planck over at the Max Planck Institute, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he's a doctor over there. He's kind of like a Tesla. He developed Planck's law. This is a natural law, just like Sir Isaac Newton, not developed, but discovered gravity. It's a natural law. Well, Max Planck discovered Planck's law. And Planck's law says, I think you can't get more than 40 to 50% pure infrared technology. You can't do it. You can't filter out the mid, infrared, and the near. Well, this computer processor they downloaded through meditation does. They have broken a natural law. They're delivering 98% pure infrared. And then they were geniuses. They took the lining of the material and they lined it with silver threads. So not only are you getting double the amount of infrared, which is the vibrational frequency of water, which your body's mostly made of, but the silver threads refract this infrared back over and over again thousands of times into the body. And that's why you can raise your core temperature the way. No other sauna on the planet can do this. So that's why, I sold my sauna. I'm like, I always upgrade. I don't even care. Usually when I upgrade, I spend more. This was the first time, because I bought like 6 water machines to get my purifier and this other unit that I'm using now. But this one, I'm like, I sold my unit. I got like a couple grand for it, and I bought the $1,900 one. You know, but it doesn't really matter. You get the silver unit that's $1,300, or the black one that's $1,900. It doesn't really matter. Just get it and start getting into it because it's passive. All you gotta do is sit in there for 15, 20 minutes, and you're done. And there's no waiting to warm it up 15 to 20 minutes like the big saunas. You just hop in, turn it in. 1 minute you're warm, 8 to 10 minutes you're sweating, 15 to 20 minutes you're completely done. You wipe it down, I spray it down with some essential oils, and I'm out of there. Take a shower and go to sleep. Unbelievable. I love that, man. Unbelievable. You have a cold or a flu coming on, and it's a game changer.
Yeah, big time. I know a lot of people are into contrast therapy of doing the sauna and then going into the ice bath or cold shower.
Oh yeah.
There's ton of benefits to that contrast.
Huge. That's what I do when I get on my sauna. I run in, cold water, and then go to sleep like a baby. Yeah. And if people want information on that, you can go to thehealthysauna.com, and we have a discount code. Cool. People can get $100 off and
sweet.
And take a look at that sauna.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where we could maybe go. That was my biggest.
Go ahead.
That was my biggest holdup, is just the affordability of it and the feasibility of it getting into my apartment. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, dude, you'll have to get on some of my products and get the sauna, and then have me back on, and then we can chat about some other topics, and then we talk about your experiences with those two things.
That would be awesome. It sounds like a great idea.
You're going to love it. Every single person that has gotten the sauna is like, dude, this is like the best sauna. In fact, I was on another podcast with this gal. She's like 180,000 downloads a month. It's a pretty big show.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to get one of these saunas. She's like, oh, I already ordered it. I just ordered it while we were talking. She got it. And then I called her up at Hasbro. She's like, oh my God, I love it. She's got like a $6,000 sauna, and she's not even using it anymore because this one's awesome.
That's so cool.
It's and for people that are into time hacking, it's the best. Like it takes 15-20 minutes and you're done. So anyway,
cool.
I can't say enough about it, except it's legit. It's really legit.
That's great. What I'll do is, you mentioned you have a discount code as well?
Yeah, if they just go to thehealthysauna.com, they can put in their email and get the discount code.
Okay, cool. I'll have that linked up in description and show notes for people listening that want to check it out as well.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Before I get to my last question, where can people find more about you, your website, your podcast? They want to hear more about your work. Where can they go? Yeah,
it's just easy. Just go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. And if you guys want to try some of the products, what I'd recommend you do is just go to the products tab, go to savings bundles, and you can get a discount on your first purchase that way. You can get like a jumpstart bundle, which you completely clean your gut, charge your body, or go all the way up to the total energy and detox bundle, which is what I take on a monthly basis. And I also take our Turmeric Tincture, which is a breakthrough in turmeric. It's like over 100 times more anti-inflammatory and absorbable than regular products. It's a whole long conversation. We could talk about that next time.
Yeah.
But that's what I take. Or just, if it's a budget or whatever issue, just pick whatever bundle that resonates with you. Okay. Cool. Then when they go to checkout, they put in the code DANVOSS, DANVOSS. They get an additional 5%. So you guys, that way you can get a double discount, and we have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products.
Awesome.
So it's very important that if a product for some reason doesn't work for you, that you call us. We will refund your money, but these are just tools in the toolkit. Now, if you grab a hammer to put in a nail, but the hammer just doesn't work because the tip's too small or whatever, we will replace it with a different product, or usually when this happens, it's very rare. Those get forwarded to me. I do quick little private consults with them, and I steer them to the right direction to another company because, there's other supplement companies out there that I like. Let's say they got 20 products, but like 3 of them pass the test. And then I can send them to get one of those 3, right? Because I've done my homework. Our job over here is we want to help you get well.
Yep.
We want to help you get your health right. And if our products help, great. They usually do that 98% of the time up the middle with everybody. But in certain rare situations, maybe 1 product or 2 products. Like I had this one gal, she's severely allergic to everything, like almost everything. And she tried all of our products, and not all of them, but she tried about 5 of them. And 2 of the 5 worked for her. The other 3 we had to return. But this is a lady with severe allergies.
Right.
Like she's got breast cancer, and her body's just broken down right now. So we're slowly trying to help her rebuild herself.
Wow.
Right. So we just want to help you with whatever works.
I love that. That's really cool. Awesome. And Tim, my last question for you I'd like to end on is your definition of health and what health means to you. So what does health mean to you?
Well, I can sum that up really easy. Our goal over here for myself, our coaches, and our clients, and everybody that listen to us, is we want you to do 2 things. We want you to wake up and feel good. That's what health is really about. You got to feel good. If you wake up and you're tired and lethargic and you have to take coffee or energy drinks and stimulate yourself, and you have to take medications, and you're overweight, and you're having issues, or you have, arthritis, and that's not feeling good. Like, any pain in your body is your body telling you, hello over there, you need to make some changes. That's all it is. Your body is like telling you. It's like when you're driving a car and then the check engine light goes off. Everybody's like, oh no, because that means I got to take it into the mechanic. But if you keep driving that car with that check engine light on, two things are going to happen. Number one, well, it could be three things actually. Number one, that car's going to break down and leave you stranded, and you're going to have to take a walk. That's when you have like a heart attack on the body side. Number two, you put it off, and it's going to get worse and worse. And then when you take it in, the bill at the mechanic's going to be expensive. So you got to get it done now, because the more you put it off, the more expensive it's going to get. Number three, you could have a faulty wire, and maybe there's nothing wrong, but that little light's going on. But that's like less than 1% of the time. But the human body, which is the vehicle that gets us through life, I mean, most people take better care of their car than they do their own body. So when you have these check body lights going off, you're overweight, you're on medications, you're tired, you're fatigued, you have mental fog, Hashimoto's, arthritis, headaches, night migraines, whatever. You got neuropathy. These are check body lights. Your body is like telling you, hey, you got to make some changes. You got to change your environment inside and out. You got to change your gut environment. You got to change the way you think. You got to start plugging yourself into different people, and start moving towards nature. And then your body will respond very, very favorably to that. The biggest problem we have is we are just detached from nature. There's too much man-made garbage that's gone into our body. It's real simple. Look at your body like a car. The car's not running well, what do? You don't just put better fuel in it. You take it in the mechanic, you flush out the engine, colon hydrotherapy. You flush out the transmission fluid, drink a lot of water, right? You change the spark plugs, you change the fuel filter, dietary changes, some supplementation, change how you sleep, crack the windows at night, purified water. You start making these changes, you clean it out. Then you put in new oil, good fuel, and then you maintenance that sucker. And then your car is going to run well. It's the same thing with your body. Nobody gave us an owner's manual, and that's what we teach over here, is that you become your own doctor. You become your own body mechanic. You learn how to take care of yourself from the inside out, and I promise you, if you do that, the outside will you're going to look beautiful. You're going to have beautiful skin. I get more comments on my skin now when I'm 48. I've never got comments at all now, come to think of it, when I was younger. And people are like, dude, your skin glows. Like, what do you do? It's like, I take really good care of my gut. I take really good care of the inside. And I finally, as a, like a Neanderthal man from 007 drinking whiskey all the time, I started loving myself. That's what I really started doing, and putting myself first and leading by example for my children, for the rest of my family, my friends, and my community. And that's what I petition everybody else to do, is put yourself first. Kids are watching you, and you really want them to be where you're at. If not, then change it. Start loving yourself enough to make those changes, and then that'll not only help you, but it'll help everybody.
It's so important, that self-care piece, that loving yourself, because so many people miss that, right? We just get caught up in the day-to-day life and the busyness of life, and they just let themselves go. They put other people before them, and they just let their health go to the wayside. And then, like you said, with the check engine light, that's when you get all the red flags, and you ignore those for long enough, it's going to come back to bite you. So I really appreciate everything you've shared, Tim. I'm really happy we got connected. It's been a joy speaking with you.
Yeah, that's cool. Dude, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for listening. You made it to the end. My goal is that you got one thing today. Now, the key is we dumped a lot of stuff on you. I mean, I've been at this for 11 years. It's like, well, that's so much. Just let it wash over you. You can go back, listen to it again and again, whatever you need to do. But just take one thing and go take action. That's the key. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. So make little baby step changes, but keep taking those baby steps. Maybe you just start drinking more water, and then you start chewing your food better. That's a great start, right? And then just go from there. So good.
Tim, well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your education, your conversation, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks a lot, brother. I'll talk to you again soon.